we are kicking things off with massive advancements in education infrastructure. Southern Illinois University Edwardsville has officially completed its incredible $117.4 million health sciences complex, a massive facility set to house both their pharmacy and nursing schools with state-of-the-art labs and classrooms designed to prepare future healthcare professionals for success.
Here's a simple way to protect your phone without stress. This ALEN 3-pack comes with tempered glass screen protectors, camera lens protectors, and an installation frame for an easier, cleaner fit. It's clear, case-friendly, and built to help guard against scratches and everyday bumps. Check the link in the comments to get it on Amazon.
Next up, we dive into a serious federal investigation shaking up the medical field. The Department of Justice has seized up to $2 million from the Wells Fargo account of Expert Wound Care PC in Pasadena, following allegations that the clinic requested Medicare reimbursements for procedures that never actually took place. In big business news, General Motors is adjusting its financial outlook amid the ongoing tariff situation. GM has raised its guidance on the potential $500 million tariff refund expectation, showing a strategic realignment in their EV segment while navigating fluctuating costs across the industry. And finally, we look at major policy shifts in Delaware. Lawmakers are now debating sweeping legislation to completely revamp the state's public school funding formula, potentially injecting up to $200 million for Phase 1, aiming for plain common sense in how resources are distributed. Stay with us for the full breakdown. Southern Illinois University Edwardsville has officially completed construction on its new $117.4 million health sciences complex. The state university announced the completion on Tuesday, marking a significant upgrade to its educational infrastructure. The sprawling, more than 172,000 square foot facility will house both the pharmacy and nursing schools, featuring modern classrooms, advanced laboratories, dedicated study areas, and administrative offices. SIUE Chancellor James Minor stated that the complex's advanced technology will enhance the experiential learning provided by faculty in the nursing and pharmacy programs. Minor emphasized that the state-of-the-art classrooms are designed to equip student practitioners with the confidence needed for their roles as healthcare professionals. The project faced construction delays stemming from the pandemic, with work commencing in 2023. Initial cost projections for the project were $105 million, but pandemic-era inflation resulted in the final price increasing to $117.4 million. Funding for the complex was secured through Rebuild Illinois, a $25.4 billion legislative initiative passed by the Illinois General Assembly in 2019 to support statewide infrastructure and construction efforts. The new facility has already begun its impact. SIUE officials noted that the facility was operational for the first students last fall. The complex has been instrumental in driving substantial growth across the university, specifically fueling the largest growth seen in the nursing school this academic year and supporting the largest class ever enrolled in the pharmacy school. Federal authorities have seized approximately $2 million from a Wells Fargo bank account linked to the Pasadena-based Expert Wound Care PC clinic amid a probe into alleged Medicare fraud. The Department of Justice announced the seizure on Tuesday as part of broader federal investigations targeting medical facilities throughout Southern California. The investigation centers on allegations that the clinic submitted fraudulent Medicare claims for procedures that may not have been performed. Federal prosecutors stated that Expert Wound Care submitted over $46 million in Medicare claims for services, including skin substitutes and skin grafts, between September 2025 and April 2026. While Medicare ultimately approved payments totaling more than $34 million, investigators noted that the amount requested for skin substitute grafts between July 2025 and March 2026 was more than double the national average. Further scrutiny focused on billing practices. Between October 2025 and February 2026, Expert Wound Care billed Medicare for $2.6 million, receiving roughly $2 million for skin substitute grafts and payments for 52 skin graft application services allegedly provided to a single beneficiary. The probe was initiated after a Wells Fargo representative alerted authorities that the clinic's account had been flagged for possible fraud and temporarily frozen, according to the affidavit submitted to the court. The seizure of the $2 million is occurring as the DOJ designates Southern California as a high-risk environment for healthcare fraud, following the arrest of 8 individuals earlier this month for defrauding Medicare and insurance companies. The FBI's Los Angeles field office has also committed to intensifying efforts to combat healthcare fraud through the National Fraud Enforcement Division within the DOJ. Expert Wound Care PC has been operating in California since July. General Motors has revised its guidance regarding tariff refund expectations, signaling a shift in outlook amidst ongoing trade uncertainty. The company's chief financial officer detailed the adjustments in its latest earnings report, balancing positive performance against persistent tariff impacts. The context for this guidance change comes amid broader industry scrutiny following a Supreme Court ruling that highlighted the potential for massive collective tariff repayments, estimated by some sources to reach $166 billion. In response to this, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency has launched a new portal to streamline submissions for valid refund requests, with processing times expected to be between 60 and 90 days upon documentation acceptance. Automakers have been significantly affected by tariffs imposed under the Trump administration, navigating complexities related to steel, aluminum, and imported auto parts. For instance, Ford reported a $900 million tariff impact in its final quarter last year, pushing its total 2025 tariff costs to $2 billion. Despite the tariff headwinds, GM reported a strong first-quarter performance, achieving EBIT-adjusted earnings of $4.2 billion, marking a 22% year-over-year increase. This growth was fueled by reduced losses in the electric vehicle segment, lower warranty expenses, and regulatory savings related to emissions. However, the CFO noted that these positive factors were partially offset by tariffs, as GM incurred $200 million in incremental gross tariff costs during the first quarter compared to previous years. The company's revised estimate for full-year gross tariff costs has been lowered to a range of $2.5 billion to $3.5 billion, down from a prior projection of $3 billion to $4 billion. GM is adopting a cautious approach for the remainder of the year, prioritizing the protection of long-term strategic initiatives over reacting prematurely to economic volatility. Furthermore, the automaker is undergoing a strategic realignment of its electric vehicle strategy, a move prompted by softening EV demand and changing taxation. This realignment resulted in a $1 billion charge in Q1, driven by contract cancellations and supplier claims. GM remains focused on enhancing EV profitability and scaling the business, albeit at a slower pace than initially anticipated. Delaware is moving to overhaul its public school funding formula, a system dating back to the 1940s, with new legislation set to be introduced next week. Following recent votes by the Public Education Funding Commission, chaired by Senate Education Committee State Senator Laura Sturgeon, a new hybrid funding formula has been approved into law. This move is aimed at simplifying distribution, increasing flexibility for school districts, and incorporating more weighted funding for low-income students and multilingual learners. Advocates for the blended approach argue it preserves the existing unit-based system while enhancing equity. Under the proposed hybrid model, low-income students would receive $3,343 per pupil in weighted funding, and multilingual students would see a $2,328 increase. Career and technical education is also being considered for supplemental funding. The financial implications are significant. While the cost to prepare for implementation in fiscal year 2027 is projected at $2.8 million, the state could face up to $200 million in fiscal year 2028 for Phase 1 implementation. This funding is intended to shield school districts from financial losses if they have lower populations of disadvantaged students during the transition period. Education Secretary Cindy Martin stated that Governor Matt Mayer has committed to allocating funds in his next budget to improve academic success for the state's most disadvantaged children. Mayer has emphasized that fixing the current system is critical, stating, "For far too long, our students have been given a broken school funding formula that distributes resources unfairly." This legislative push follows a 2018 lawsuit by education and civil rights advocates alleging persistent underfunding of low-income students, multilingual learners, and children with disabilities, which resulted in a 2020 settlement. A court-mandated report suggested Delaware needed an additional $600 million to $1 billion to achieve full educational equity. Secretary Martin characterized the need for change as a matter of plain common sense, asserting that a formula built on the principle that greater need requires greater investment is not ideology, but simple truth. Phase 2 of the process is anticipated to tackle equalization and weights for other high-need groups, including foster youth and students experiencing homelessness. Despite concerns, some commission members expressed caution regarding a hold harmless provision that protects wealthier districts from potential shortfalls. However, Senator Sturgeon indicated that removing this provision would not be politically viable to secure support for the overhaul.